Welcome, listeners, and this is yet another episode of the Tabloid Times podcast.
Recorded live at the Moore Center in color. And now, I'm presenting a author planning session with all of your favorite Tabloid Times authors and the entire staff of the Tabloid Times.
So we're very proud to have all the authors here to give you an inside look on the Tabloid Times, what we're about, how we think, how we operate, and you're going to hear us at our best, but also just hear us at our core and in the natural moment. And right now we are commemorating our new field office, the Tabloid Times Moore Center.
This is as real as it gets, guys.
Yeah.
The Moore Center is our newest field office, and it is completely loaded with a gateway of truth, a historical center, and it is the location of our telecommunications department.
We'd also like to thank our very kind and generous sponsors, the Wallington Project, for providing our electronic system, including speakers, lights, and other high-end electronics that really make the Tabloid Times work.
Of course, none of this would be possible without direct money from the Kremlin. I mean, generous donors from undisclosed locations.
Mm-hmm.
And we are happy to start off this podcast with all of these authors, so let's get the conversation started. How do you like the new Moore Center, Mason?
Oh, I love it. As opposed to our field office in this region, which was the Less Center, I really, really enjoy this more because, well, it's more. I just found that the Less Center was less. More is more, and that's more. It's just so much more than what we had at Less.
It's so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
They should call this the Better Center.
Mm-hmm.
Well, remember, it is called Moore, not as in more than, but honoring Chris L. Moore, who has 6 values that we hold true. Integrity, dignity, brotherhood, nobility, trust, and cheese curds. All of those are integral to the success of the Tabloid Times, and we live and abide by those in honor of Chris L. Moore.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the new Moore Center. I love the survival bunker. It's really helpful for when World War III comes. We'll be able to survive the giant octopus attacks, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd like to say that the most important part of the Moore Center is the bunker. This is evident because we're in the bunker right now recording this, and this is the only place on Earth with this much structural integrity that can protect the writers of the best news source ever, the Tabloid Times.
Yeah, we've got strict protocol on what to do in the Moist Center when things go bad. We take a lot of pride in the amount of safety we prioritize to our personnel. As we can see in our protocol, first we prioritize all expensive materials and anything of significant monetary value and equipment. But just
our
after...
number 2, that's like
Number
silver
2.
medal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a silver medal.
Well,
His
remember,
personnel.
first is the worst, second is the best.
Yeah.
Third is the one with the hairy chest.
So, I mean, really, by prioritizing our personnel second, we're giving them a silver medal. And have you seen silver prices these days?
Oh man, they're
Yeah.
skyrocketing.
Yeah.
We should invest in silver coating the Tabloid
Yeah, we could
Times.
probably crash the market. Well, that's a story.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
Our friends in Beijing, undisclosed location, aren't manipulating the market currently because right now we're fighting the system of global oppression and the horrible mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to pose a question to you guys. What is the most annoying thing normal news people do that we don't do?
Well, for one thing, and they go out in the field and they actually try interacting. I hate interaction, and I literally most of my day is spent closed up in my room, doors slammed shut, doors locked, windows boarded, with a strict massive security guard posted right behind the door so that if someone tries to open it, they immediately get blown to bits by whatever that guard happens to have on hand.
So this is very important. I agree with Mason in this sense. This is not the thing that annoys me the most, but it is important that we do not connect with the rest of the world or try to interview what are called regular people, because they have already been brainwashed and would influence us. We need to stay connected to the truth and the truth only, which is why we must be on our own and isolated from the rest of the mainstream media and the government Illuminati lies.
That's why we're in a closet right now. I mean, really, it just shows how isolated, how powerful, how integritous we are.
Yeah,
And
I think there's a lot of symbolism too. Us in a closet talking into an iPhone, I mean, our highest quality recording technology. It says a lot about how much we prioritize comfort, but also we
spared no expense.
We spared no expense, and we are able to separate ourselves from the rest of the world and its lives. We're bringing you the inside scoop on reality, no matter what it costs to us. We are willing to
isolation.
We are willing to, as we've said before, go into complete isolation and
Whatever
to work at a $0 budget just to make sure that you are getting the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Just like ISIS.
And besides, we're a behind closed doors operation. As of right now, we are speaking from a closet with a closed door within another closet. That's just how deep our net of security and web threats are.
Yeah, a second tier closet. You don't see that in the
CIA.
Yeah, and we definitely did not have that in the last center, so we're very grateful for the security that the Moore Center can provide us and what it will do to further root us in the region and in terms of spreading the truth there.
I'd also like to interrupt this message with a quick demonstration of our complete power at the Moore Center. I'll go over a security protocol. So first, we have a combination lock on the door that no one can get through unless they ask nicely or know the code. Second of all, we have this very high-tech evasive measure called closing the door and turning off the lights. And we can do that in the main office, but if the situation is not safe in the main office, even if we close the door and turn off the lights, we can go into the bunker, which is just off of the main office, and maybe put a stool against the door and turn off the lights. And even if we completely wanted to engage in 100% total stealth mode, we could put paper over the window and turn off the lights, and no one would know we were here.
So, with all that security in mind, and really just the great resource that the Moore Center is, let's start showing off its power, and let's dig through some Dear Doctors questions. How's that sound for you guys?
Yeah, that sounds great. We just got the power station working this morning after it went out for the 15th time this week. But I
finally got 1 bar of Wi-Fi. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think we can probably get some. Oh, we got something. All right. So this is from Concerned Elf, who asks, Santa keeps drinking beer left for him in houses he visits on these runs. Is it safe for him to drink and drive? If not, how can the slave elk community help?
Well,
Santa doesn't drive.
Yeah, he flies a sleigh, so...
Right. I mean,
I think we know what the question is going at.
But remember, drinking and driving is a crime because the government doesn't want to prove that alcohol is actually really good for you. But they haven't outlawed drinking and flying yet.
Yeah.
You can drive a sled and drink. It's fine. Remember, Santa is so jolly because he drank all that beer.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think they care what we think. Let's bring in the real brains behind this. Dr. Yanoiji. Well, I like beer. And Dr. Freudney.
Well, I guess I also like beer.
I'd also like to, as a Tabloid Times
It's
author...
fun for drinking when you're watching football!
I like to point out that alcohol is like the reason they don't want to make alcohol illegal is because alcohol can actually be used as a fuel source. You put it in your car instead of gas, you can save a ton of money. That's the #1 life hack of the Tabloid Times. You can just it burns It will fuel your car, and you can save a ton of money by using vodka, beer, wine, anything in place of gasoline.
I save all my calories by drinking light beer!
Yes, I must agree with these geniuses on the. You see, the Tabloid Times here are certainly conducts specific scientific research. In this scientific research, we have determined that alcohol is 20 bazillion times exactly more efficient than normal gas. It can also be used in camp stoves and even in lights to make your gatherings in the outdoors even more exciting.
All right, thank you, Dr. Yonoiji and Dr. Freudney. We have another question came in from Isis Oasis. It is, why doesn't the moon have a name? It's like calling your dog, dog. So, Anton and I will give our 2 cents first, but that's not what you really want to hear. And then we'll turn it over to the experts. Anton, what do you think about this?
So, when I was in 3rd grade, I had an assignment where I had to write a creative writing story. And back then, I didn't have a dog, and I said the dog in that story was named Dog. And really, it's sad thinking about that, and that's why we need to change this.
I actually think that all names are a sign of civilization going away. A truly civilized society recognizes that we're all individuals. So giving us a name is making us conform to some societal norms of having a first and last name. So because the moon is called Moon, we are actually being more civilized and more respectful than giving it a name. And that's why I prefer, from this point forward, to be called Human.
Hey, Dr. Yonoiji here. I don't know about your who dicky ding dong, but I've always called the moon Joe. I haven't really thought about it, but Joe's kind of pretty when he has his whole face. Yeah.
Well, I also haven't really gotten around to considering the question, but, well, on my whole thing with the moon and stuff, personally, this reminds me of a time back in the 60s when me and these people, who don't need to be disclosed because, well, they may or may not want to kill me. We went to the moon without the government's permission. That was actually in Apollo, 10? We got there many years before, or they did, and we decided to call the moon, when we actually named it, after me. That's actually...
Wait, so the moon and that giant pile of cheese is named after you?
Yeah.
How did you get up there?
Yeah, how did you get to the moon before Lance Armstrong did?
Did you, flap your arms really hard?
Well, actually, I just got some Red Bull, some Alka-Seltzer. I then promptly drank it all, and it cleared my sinuses and got me wings. So, it was a 1-2 punch. With clear sinuses and wings on my back made out of rockets, I could easily get to the moon.
So, how did you get Red Bull without it being invented yet?
Well, you see, actually, I did invent Red Bull. Precisely for that purpose. It was actually originally fuel to literally give me wings.
I like Red Bull too!
Yeah, unfortunately, when they stole the formula, they forgot the part where the wings spread out, so that's why
So the government suppressed you?
Yeah, pretty much.
The FDA?
Yeah. While it did involve, I guess, killing a few California condors, it was perfectly fine! It gives you wings! It was certainly justifiable.
And now we're going to head to our last question, coming from... Let's see. We're not getting one right now. Come on, people. Please respond. We know you're out there. It's at tabloidtimesweebly.com. Go to the Dear Doctors thing and send us your questions. And here is one just now. Thank you very much, Mint Chip. How do I get the powers of a superhuman? Mint Chip asks.
Well, it's actually quite simple. You just have to follow the formula. You see, when you have E equaling mc squared, you then promptly take the c and you multiply it by a factor of 3, 7, and 9. Now, with those factors of 3, 7, and 9, which line perfectly with the order of potato chips you have to put on a chessboard in order to get to the Illuminati base in Eastern Pomerania, you have to then multiply it by the square root of the Wadsworth constant, and then divide it all by 0. Now, once you do that very important last step, you can then get some sort of number, or what we call the invisibility factor, that gives you a factor of which to acquire all of these superpowers. And you can get a whole bunch, like 17, that's a good one, that gives you flight. 11, that gives you somewhere between, like, invisibility and super strength. And, the coolest one yet, at 12, if you somehow get 12, you can gain the ability to have your legs turn into arms.
So basically you're saying there are hidden numbers, and once you find them, they can give you superpowers?
Pretty much.
That's really cool. I thought the way to get superhuman superpowers was to be born and named Michael Jordan and then play college basketball at UNC and then launch a very successful baseball career. But what's your take, Dr. Unoiji?
I'm sorry to inform you, but Dr. Unoiji has left the building. He went past the 2 closets and passed out in his pickup truck. But if you want to hear what I have to say, I think the best way to get superpowers is to believe in yourself. But not just, like, believe you can. You have to, like, do stuff. Like Superman. Or just be very rich.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. That was our Dear Doctor segment. And once again, we want to thank you very much for listening to this rendition of the Tabloid Times podcast. The first one ever recorded in our brand new, super high-tech, incredibly useful Moore Center. Please share this podcast with other people so that they too can get the truth and that it will not rain grasshoppers on them.